The old media in the WNBA never ceased to fail itself. They love giving takes about Caitlin Clark, and more they talk, it's like, what are y'all doing? Now, Carolyn Peck, we know from the past of last season where she gave her opinion. Again, this is her opinion. She has a right to share what she thinks. But when you know it's blatantly obvious that something's wrong, why even say it in the first place? Now, last year, she said that Angel Reese should have won the Rookie of the Year. Well, she said that was her pick because of plus minus. And at that stage of the race, it was obvious that Caitlin Clark was going to win it, even though Carolyn Peck wanted you to believe something else. And it was obvious that Clark was going to win the Rookie of the Year. Now, this year, Clark has been missing games. The Fever are 3-1 without her. But if you just look a little deeper at her impact on this team, Caitlin Clark has scored or assisted on 44% of the team's points this season. That's almost half their points. So we look at it from that perspective. I know people are going to say, oh, she's been mid at times, but she's been dealing with injuries. And I think that does have a factor to play in with her recent struggles. And I do believe when she gets back, that she's going to be phenomenal. I really expect Caitlin Clark to just take the league by storm, get the Fever on a roll. They've been inconsistent this regular season. I think it's because of the new players, the coach, and they've had their struggles. But we shall see how it all plays out going forward. All that being said, you'll see these type of conversations. I remember when Jalen Williams had a playoff career high in the finals, and people are saying, well, maybe Jalen Williams should get finals MVP. And you're like, SGA has been really good in the finals. And we saw the shot he made. I know some people didn't like the non-call in game 4, but he has shown up when the team needs him. And he's been very consistent throughout the NBA finals, giving over pretty much 30 points a night. I know he had a really rocky game 3, but SGA was phenomenal. So to act like, oh, Jalen Williams should get it off of one really amazing game 5 is just crazy talk. And that's what you see from ESPN. Even from last year with the Celtics, where you saw the debate about, oh, Jaylen Brown is better than Jason Tatum. And you're like, okay, we know Tatum's efficiency isn't always up to par with his shooting from the field. However, his playmaking is better. He's a better defensive rebounder. He's also more versatile. We saw that in the NBA Finals where he just completely shut off those lobs from Luka to Gafford and Lively and their big men because Tatum's versatility was able to cover those grounds. So to act like that has no value because Jaylen Brown gets some clutch buckets in certain moments, we're like, oh yeah, Jaylen Brown is this guy. And it's like, okay, Jaylen Brown still can't dribble very well. He's not a better playmaker. And he's not as versatile as Tatum in those spots. Like if you put Jaylen Brown at the power forward center position to disrupt those big men, he's not going to have the same impact as Jason Tatum because he's 3 inches shorter. That's not disrespectful to Jaylen Brown. These are just facts about basketball. So to act like Caitlin Clark is not as impactful, or it's not as impactful that they're more dangerous without her is just nonsense. Like Kelsey Mitchell the other night had 0 assists. She's a hooper, but she benefits from Caitlin Clark playmaking and generating open shots for her. When Kelsey Mitchell's doing this dribble stuff, playing isolating basketball, hero ball, that hurts the Fever offense. And I guarantee you the Fever would have loved to have Caitlin Clark last night against the Sparks. Unfortunately, they lost by 2 points. I thought Aaliyah Boston was really good in the painted area. She had 23 and 12 rebounds. Natasha Howard had 21 and 9. And McDonald stepped up with 8 assists, but I guarantee the Fever would have loved to have Clark out there, dishing and diming, pushing the tempo, and getting about 10 to 12 assists. I know there's been a lot of conversation lately about, well, Clark has been mid. She's not shooting well from the field. Some of that's true, but the other part is she has been dealing with injuries. She came back against the Liberty and absolutely cooked them, and she's had some amazing moments this season. So we can't just ignore that. I know she's shooting, I believe, 39% from the field, 29% from 3, but Sabrina Ionescu is not shooting well from the field. And we don't hear the same conversations. The reason why we don't is Caitlin Clark is held to a different standard, as she should be. Do I believe those numbers will hold up? No, I do not. I think Clark will come back and have a great second half. And I don't know if the Fever are going to sit her out for the rest of the games until the All-Star break. I think they should, just to get things in order. I know they got some tough games coming up, but if they can survive without her, stay around 500, then you make your push towards the playoffs. That might be the best idea just to get her healthy. But I want to play what Carolyn Peck had to say here because it's just funny to see the old media continue to share these interesting takes.
You were at that game just now. Look, the Fever have been on a tear. They've won 2 in a row, a 25-point blowout of the Lynx in the Commissioner's Cup final, and then 27 against the Aces in this one. And both of those games without Caitlin Clark. How is Indiana getting this done right now?
Look, I think that Indiana is even more dangerous when Caitlin Clark doesn't play because she's a ball dominant guard. The ball's in her hands a lot. So you know what you need to try to take away. But when you look at Indiana now, they've got so many weapons. And Kelsey.
It's not like they didn't have those weapons before when Caitlin Clark was playing. So to say like, oh, they got all these weapons, and you know what? Now they're utilizing them more because Caitlin Clark is ball dominant. The reason why Clark has the ball so much because she's a point guard. So of course she's going to have a lot of usage rate, but it helps the team out because they get easier looks when she's pushing the tempo, when she's moving that ball around. And the defense has to respect her because if, they don't guard up on her, they face guard her 94 feet and give her any space, she's going to shoot that logo three or drive to the rim. And they can't keep up with her. So to act like they're more valuable now because Caitlin Clark isn't dominating the basketball, that's ridiculous to me. We've seen other players like Luka Doncic, for example. I know he hasn't won a championship yet, but he's a ball dominant player that has gotten to the NBA Finals. LeBron James, a ball dominant player. People benefit from these guys because of the attention they draw from the defense. And to act like that has no value and somehow they're even more dangerous is crazy. The teams who are hurt usually come out with a lot more effort because they have, little to no room for error. When you look at, for example, the game against the Aces, the Aces have won, before that, they won 16 games in a row. The Fever coming off that win against the Lynx, they actually won by 15, not by 27, as you heard from there. I think you said 25. They're going to be motivated. They got the momentum. They're feeling good, and they want to snap that losing streak. So there's a lot of different factors in play. Also, the Aces are not as good this year. So the Fever are probably like, you know what, we want to come out. We want to snap this losing streak. And we're tired of losing to this team over and over again. There's some motivation from the Fever to come out and make a statement. Talk like this Fever team is somehow more scarier, that people should be afraid because Caitlin Clark isn't playing anymore is just ludicrous. That doesn't make any sense.
Kelsey Mitchell is playing out of her mind. Aaliyah Boston. I talked to Stephanie White before the game. She said in year one, Aaliyah Boston was back to the basket. Year two, two-man game. Year three, they're using her as a decision maker. And so when you have a point guard like Kelsey Mitchell and
Kelsey Mitchell is not a point guard. She is a scoring first guard. Again, she had 0 assists the other night. In fact, let me pull up her numbers this year. She is averaging 2.9 assists. That's not point guard numbers. She is more of a scorer. That doesn't diminish her impact. But when she gets the ball, she's looking to score. And when she gets caught in situations where she's not willing to move it around, that gets the Fever in trouble. And that's why you need a point guard in Caitlin Clark, or like she said, Leah Boston. She's been good in that role. But Kelsey Mitchell is not a point guard. Let's just stop that.
Ari McDonald making plays on the perimeter and a post like Aaliyah Boston. I'm going to tell you, at Indiana, they are a threat, and specifically on the defensive end. Stephanie is so pleased with the intensity that they're bringing defensively with their length, their switches. I mean, they've wreaked havoc.
So I guess Caitlin Clark wouldn't fit in that system. Again, she's not the best defender, but we've seen other players like Luka. He's not the greatest defender. Hopefully, he gets in shape, and he's been looking better this offseason, but he can be more of a respectable defender because of all the blow-bys. However, we've seen like a Steph Curry. He wasn't always, he's not known as a great defender, but you put other players around him to hide those deficiencies. I don't get what you're trying to do here. I think, again, it's just a narrative. They want to start up and then, they beat the Aces for the first time. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. I don't agree with this take at all. It's just another example of the old media not embracing Caitlin Clark. And, she can't win in any scenario because the old media is going to diminish her. The players who are out there that have been around for a long time, they're not going to give her the proper credit. It's all good. If I'm the Fever, I would just try to ride this wave because the schedule's not easy. Hopefully, Caitlin Clark can get healthier. I'm seeing some folks on Twitter saying, oh, yeah, she's washed, she's mid, not that good. And then Angel Reese has a good week and like, oh, you guys should apologize. Or they don't want apologies. Angel Reese has one good week. And I was like going crazy. Not to say she doesn't deserve it, but Caitlin Clark's been more consistent. Let's just be honest. I know she's not shooting that well from the field, but again, I do believe that will turn around in the second half of the season. So maybe she will return before the All-Star break. I just think, injuries have played a huge factor for her, and we'll see her get back to those normal shooting percentages, and we'll also see how much better the Fever are with Caitlin Clark out there versus without Caitlin Clark. It's obvious that the media wants to spin these things a certain way. And it's like, we know Caitlin Clark's impact. It's night and day. When she's on the court, the Fever are just that much better. Hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I'd love to hear your thoughts about what Carolyn Peck had to say. Do you agree or disagree with her take about the Fever being more dangerous without Caitlin Clark? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.